As a student in university, I studied a very difficult course, pharmacy, and there's this culture of night class, so you can meet up with the demands of the course in terms of examination. So I found myself in a night class in my second year, even if I didn't like night classes. And I had this friend. He would always come for night class. He loves night class. But I noticed every single time he comes for a night class, he's always on his phone. He's always on his phone for hours. He's on his phone. And eventually it gets to 6 a.m. Everybody goes home. Everybody's exhausted. Most people did work. And the next day will come again and he's always on his phone. He's just chatting. He's happy. He's smiling. Most times he has this hysteric laughter that disrupts the whole flow of studying in that hall. And then he gets back on it. And he probably reads for a few hours or so, or a few minutes. And then finally, examination came. He wrote and he failed. As a matter of fact, then as a student in pharmacy, if you fail a course to a degree, you'd have to, or if you fail some courses to a degree, you have to do the whole year again. So he was instructed to repeat the whole year again. And it was very confusing for a lot of people because they're like, this guy comes for night classes consistently. So why, it doesn't make any sense for him to fail. Most people started doubting the authenticity of the marking and grading system. But it worked for people who knew that they really studied. And then I figured it led to this addiction for social media and the impact it has caused in our generation. And this is just one out of many for affecting people's productivity, affecting a whole lot of things that people get to express in terms of what they want and the result that they get, that eventually affects every single thing that happens to our life and our social interaction as young people. So this is one of the many experiences that have happened and it's a personal experience to a friend. And this also happens to a whole lot of people.
Yeah. We are living in a culture scape that is completely saturating and influencing our lives. And this is also rewriting the models of our reality. And by extension, this is crippling and limiting the society. And it is social media. The social media. And this brings me to the question, what is social media? A lot of people think they understand what it is. They think they won't know what it is. They use it, but they don't understand what it is. What is social media?
Now, social media is just like so many other tools. It's a tool for social interaction, but it's much more than that. If it was just one tool, let's say just one platform for social media, we could give it a definite definition that this is exactly what it is. But it has transcended to just more than a tool for social interaction. Now, it has become a tool for forming identity, for creating and expressing ability, and much more communication. So it's like a microphone to your ability, identity, and communication. So every single thing that you are right now, and you add social media to it, it's like you're enhancing and amplifying it. Now, every single social media tool have varying things that it pays attention to. Every single tool on social media, or every single social media application that have ever become successful has something it pays attention to. For instance, Instagram pays attention to what you are doing, what people are doing. If you want to find out what people are currently doing, it's exactly what Instagram does. Right? Now, Facebook shows you how people are doing. Let's say you have this friend that he's creating this kit on social media, on Instagram. He's a kit creator, that is what he does. But you want to know how he's doing. Is he married? Does he have a family? Have 2 kids? He have this. This is when he's done with school and all that. Go to Facebook, you find out, right?
Amazing.
If you want to find out what people are saying, right? Go to Twitter. Now you could tell the level of intellectual capacity the person has by the level of communication skills in his words. And that is what Twitter does. So this guy might be doing really well family-wise, right? He's creating skills, but you can find out what is inside his head on Twitter, what he says and all that. If you want to find out a person's why people do the things they do, why people make the decisions they do, go to WhatsApp, because the circle of friends, the interactions they have with their circle of friends, their immediate interaction, will tell you why they are making the decision. Most of the decision that people make comes from their interactions from their friends. And it's also a measure of their life. You can tell that these are the past people they used to talk to, those down on the list of chat. These are the people who are up right now that they currently interact with. You can just pick a person's WhatsApp chat, the top people that interact with, and you can tell why their life is exactly what it is. TikTok will simply show you what people are copying. This is what people are copying right now. This is the trend. This is the music that people are using to create whatever. So every single one of these tools have something that it shows and depicts for people. LinkedIn will show you what people have achieved, right? But the one common characteristics with every single one of these things is you. It's what you are doing.
Now, it's important and vital that people understand the uses of this various platform, right? Because not understanding the usefulness of these various tools, just like you said, it's a tool, right? A knife is a tool that is meant to be used in the kitchen, right? That's what it was designed for. But in the hands of someone else who doesn't understand the usefulness of that tool in the kitchen, can use it for harm or to harm someone. You see that? So it's important that people understand, the audience that we're speaking to understand the various usefulness, because right now, the social media platform is a business platform, right? Before we go, into this into the business aspect of social media, it's very important that we let people understand the usefulness of each of these tools, because right now, while we're speaking, there's someone somewhere in the world that is designing an app that people should use or would use. Right, and just like I said, because it has become a multi-billion-dollar business venture, right? They understand. I mean, right now there are over 4.8 billion social media users around the world. That is 60% of the number of people on earth. 60% are using social media. It's a vast market, right? It's a vast market. So tell us the business aspect of social media. Yes, what's the business aspect? What's the business? Let's look at social media from the business perspective, because we need people to understand this.
Now, this is so important, because outside social interaction, right? The one thing that social media gives you access to is to also amplify your business. And don't forget that business have varying perspective based on individual preferences and experience. So your business, you might think that if you think what your business is just you, it gives you an expression for that and all that. But if you're looking at business holistically and using social media as a tool that amplifies business, there's something you have to understand. That is, for a business such as the social media, there are 4 different aspects of it, right? Number one, have to focus on the product. What is it that is being sold here? The product. Number 2, have to focus on the marketing. How do these people market this social media, right? So people to make it become more successful. That is the market they use. Then the marketing and the marketers. Now here is something really profound. As far as the product is concerned, what is sold on social media is attention. Attention. Not just goods and services, but attention. as far as the marketing is concerned, how social media is marketed is by the interaction that happens on it. There is no interaction, there is no marketing. Now, the marketers is every single user and consumer of social media. So they really don't have to market it. We market it for them. And that have to do with the marketers. And the market is every single platform of profiles or individuals you go to interact with, to either exchange one thing or the other. So that also means that the category of people you find on social media, as far as business is concerned, to make this attention business work effectively, are either people who are giving attention, people who are seeking attention, or a hybrid of both. People who are both giving and seeking attention at the same time. But the product that is being sold on social media is attention. It simply means without you, the individuals, the business will not thrive. It is your attention that is being sold. And the most important element that is associated with attention as far as the social media space is concerned is time.
Yeah.
Yes, time.
Yeah. It's really important that a lot of people understand it, because people don't actually understand how they pay for social media, right? First of all, we need to understand that individuals, just like you rightly said, are the ones that are being monetized on social media.
Yes.
I was shocked to find out, for instance, that just in Nigeria, right, within the tertiary institutions and the secondary school, we have about 15.9 million social media users, active social media users, right? Yeah. And they spend an average of 10,000 naira on data. In a month, that is approximately 159 billion naira. 159 billion naira just with 15.9 million users. For instance, in Nigeria, we have about 140 something million users. Then about 97 million active users in Nigeria alone. You understand? And a lot of people still don't understand, how do we pay? How do we pay on social media? And you just mentioned a very important factor, which is time. Which is time. Can we be more detailed? Can we let people understand because what people don't realize is what is at stake here is your free time. Yes, it's your free time. It's your free time. The system is designed to keep you scrolling. And what you use to keep yourself scrolling, what you use to feed that attention is your time. Your time. So let's elaborate this. Let people understand what's at stake here.
Every single individual have this different distinctive allocation of time for various things, right? Every single individual. We all think we have 24 hours in a day, but the only thing that has 24 hours in a day is nature. Nature. You only have the time you created. So what that means is that by default, things that biologically have its own time, there are things that physically have its own time. There are things that psychologically have its own time, and they're not really your time. The time you have is the time you have to be productive. So there are various distinctive allocations of time for a day. For instance, what do you think in 24 hours that the distinctions of this time is allocated to, when it has to do with, let's say, sleep, when it has to do with activities, when it has to do with... This is something that you have also had a whole lot of time teaching a whole lot of young people and all that. The timing that is allocated to various activities. Because people don't get that when it has to do with the time you have in the day, right? Things will by default take the time that you did not create in the day. So what do you think?
Now, it's a very important question.
Yeah.
And whenever we talk about time,
Yeah.
I have a certain affiliation to it because to an extent, I think I understand how time works.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't.
Yeah.
A lot of young people don't.
Yeah.
So now, like you said, we have 24 hours.
Yeah.
Right? We can decide to either split it in twos or in threes. If you split it in two, that's 12 hours.
Yeah.
Right? If you split it in three, that's 8 hours, 8 hours, 8 hours.
Yeah.
Right? Now, medically, right, it's been said that that as humans, we're supposed to have at least 8 hours of sleep,
Yes.
7 to 8 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
So we're working with 8 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
Now, if you have 8 hours of sleep,
Yeah.
right, it means you have 16 hours left.
Yeah, and there is nothing wrong with having
there's nothing
medically wrong
yes,
with
yes.
having 7 to 8 hours of sleep. As a matter of fact, it's the recommended amount of dose for sleep.
For sleep,
you
for
need
rest.
it for your body
Yes.
to recharge, revitalize, and get tasks done the next day. So
Yeah.
you didn't waste 7 to 8 hours. So if you do that sleeping,
Yes.
it's not wasted.
And
even
it's
if you're
very
a young
important.
person.
Yeah, it's very important. Now, we have 16 hours left.
Yes.
Right? And from what I found out from my study, right, the average user spends about 8 to 10 hours on social media.
8 to 10 hours.
Yes, 8 to 10 hours
Yeah.
on social media, right? What you call the Gen Zs and the millennials,
Yeah.
right? 8 to 10 hours. But let's use an average of 8 hours.
And,
Right?
and they might think it's an over exaggeration.
It's not.
But because they probably believe it's 8 hours stretch.
Yes.
But it's not, because most times you're up in the morning and you spend about an hour. Your phone is usually the first thing you greet. You spend about an hour, 2 hours.
Your phone is the first thing you pick up. Your phone is the last thing you drop before going to bed.
Yes. So
right?
you probably
And-
spend 1-2 hours in the morning
Yes.
and 1-2 hours before going to bed on social media,
Yes.
on your phone.
Yeah.
And then in between times you check messages,
You know, it's
works
amazing.
and all that.
It's amazing that if you for instance say that the average people spend on social media is 8 hours, right? I wasn't even sure until I had to time myself, right? And you could do this. You could do this, right?
Yeah.
You could do that with your iPhone, even with your Android.
Yeah.
Time how long
Yeah.
you spend on social media,
Yeah.
and you'll be amazed.
Yeah, devices have a screen time
Yes.
that tells you how long you spend.
You'll be amazed. You'll be amazed. And this is an average that we're talking about, 8 hours, right? Take away 8 hours from 24 hours. We've taken away 8 hours for sleep,
Yeah.
8 hours that people spend on an average on social media. You have 8 hours left for others,
Yeah.
right? If you're a student, 8 hours for lectures,
Yeah.
right? 8 hours for breakfast, lunch, dinner,
Yeah.
right? 8 hours for chit chat with your friends.
Yeah.
You have no time spent on productive engagements.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about the 8 hours that is being invested on social media.
Yeah.
Right. And assuming we are using the global lifespan,
Yeah.
which is about 70 to 72 years.
Yeah.
Right. If you're spending 8 hours of your time on social media,
Yeah.
and you had 70 to 72 years to live on Earth, you would have spent 24 years on social media.
Wow.
Yes, you would have spent, if you were spending 8 hours every single day on social media, and you lived a lifespan of about 70 to 72 years, you would have spent 24 years on social media, just
Yeah.
on social media,
Now,
scrolling and moving from one social media app to another.
Yeah. This used to not be that much of a time spent on social media.
Yeah.
The increase was because of the fact that almost every single activity right now can be done online.
Yeah.
And there are lots of social media tools that are also advantageous for some and gives you more time to spend online.
True, yeah.
For instance, if all you do with social media is to show people just how you're doing, that wouldn't take much time.
Yeah.
Just update and people see it. But now you're showing people almost everything. This is how I'm doing. This is what I'm doing. This is what I'm saying. This is almost every single thing is happening on social media, interaction with people and all that.
Yeah.
So it's actually not an exaggeration that people are spending so much time on social media.
On an average.
Yeah.
We're not even talking about the addicts.
Yes.
Yes. The addicts spend 12 hours and above on social media.
Yeah.
Yes, 12 hours and above on social media right now. We're talking about the Gen Zs, people that were born and had social media handed over to them. Do you understand?
Yeah.
And of course, research has shown that people from the age of 35, 40 years and above do not use social media excessively. Right, and it made a lot of sense when I found that out, because these people, for instance, social media came into play in our lives in 1998. Right, so it means that if you were not born in that time, you have probably learned how to live on earth without social media.
Yeah.
Do you understand? You can do without it, you can live without it. But if you were born from that time, and then if you were born from exactly 2004, Facebook was created in 2004, right? TikTok 2016. So if you were born in that time, let's say from 2004 upwards, right? Chances are that from your teenage age, right, you've been exposed to social media. The average age for social media usage is 13 years and above. Right, 13 years and above. And it will shock you to understand. I learned this, and it got me thinking that most of the kids of these people that created these social media platforms don't use social media.
So that means
guaranteed.
They understand the impact of these things in the lives of people.
The life of people. Now let's talk about the impact of social media.
As far as social media is concerned, it's not arguable. It has both positive and negative impacts. There are lots of wonderful things it has done, and just like every tool, if it's used properly, creates an advantage. If it's used improperly, creates a disadvantage.
That's true.
Now, we are living in an era where people have become millionaires and billionaires using social media, because one of the positive impact is that, like I said, it enhances any single thing you want to do. Your ability, productivity, identity, market, communication, business, every single thing. So one of the positive impact that this does is, if you have a business and you have an incompetent business, it's not good enough. You have a business where 1 out of every single 1,000 person would purchase. That is, you market this to 1,000 people and only 1 person will purchase it. Social media gave you an advantage, because you might talk to 1,000 people in your locality and only 1 person buys it and you feel unsuccessful. But social media gives you access to lots of 1,000 people at once. So you can, through social media, be exposed to 500,000 people and have 500 people purchase from you. Amazing. By just creating something mediocre that is not even good enough. Even if it's 1 in 100,000, social media made it possible for you to sell something mediocre at your level. What that simply means is, the only element that is now needed for you to sell the thing and become successful is that you just have to be courageous and put up this level of confidence that whatever this thing is at this level is good enough. It's why you see some skit makers, right? And people who are into music, they're not really good enough, but are doing something that is worth it, because they have, and it gave them the ability to reach out to lots of audience, even if it's audience that is not you, but they can find that category of people all across the world. This is one of the positive impacts that it have done. Now, there are also platforms that are monetized, where content are monetized and all that. So it has lots of wonderful things it has done for people, but it also have lots of negative things it has done for people. Now, negatively, the fact that attention is being sold on social media, it simply means that if you take, attention isn't designed to be given, to be placed and on an online platform without getting a feedback on how to orient it properly.
Okay.
That is, if you give your attention to a person,
Yeah.
their feedback, their outward feedback on you helps you orient how to channel your attention the next time, right?
Yeah.
But on social media, when you give your attention to something, you're not really getting a feedback on how good it is or how quality it is that what you created is.
Yeah.
They're giving a feedback on how entertaining it is, even if it's good enough or not.
Yeah.
So business-wise, the social media have made it possible also for you to find, since you're looking for people who can buy the mediocre products that you create. It also means if you have a faulted idea, you have an idea that could be self-harming, that could give you a catastrophizing experience, that you can find people to back it up.
Yeah.
If right now you think it's okay to behave stupidly, you think it's okay to waste your time, you think it's okay to make bad decisions, you think it's okay to sell your body, you think it's okay to do anything, you think it's okay to have a bad marriage, it's okay to be nonchalant to things, you'll find people to support it on social media.
It's important that we highlight the disadvantages, the negative impact that social media is having on our society, because this is becoming a menace in the society. It's reprogramming us.
Yes.
Right? It is causing a lot of damage on the social fabric of the society.
Yeah.
Right? And I think like the old saying goes, that if the purpose of a thing is not known, that abuse is unavoidable, inevitable, right? And I'm going to just sitting here, I'm literally envisaging all the negative impacts that social media has on our society. It is changing everything. It is recoding us without even us knowing. For instance, a lot of people are not being real on social media, right? Without even knowing that social media isn't even designed for you to be real, right?
Yes.
It's why being fake is promoted on social media, by being fake, not being yourself. And if you keep on giving a fake image of who you are not on social media, over time you're going to give people a wrong notion about who you truly are.
Yes, and
without even you knowing about it.
And you would always find people to support that.
Yes.
Even if it's the wrong thing. It's like an experiment, a researcher doing an experiment, and he will never be wrong. It's the most dangerous concept and tool to give to a person if they don't properly use it. Every single negative impact that social media has, what makes it more dangerous is that you always find a support for it.
Yeah. Before we talk about the cyberbullying that goes on social media, which have become a source of livelihood for a lot of people. Let's talk about the real negative. For instance, a lot of people don't have real friends anymore. Right? And I need to say this confidently. Friends that you made on social media are not real friends. If you doubt me, delete your account. Right? Delete your social media account. None of those people you call friends will reach out to you. Right? Because you're one among the numerous people that they chat with every day, because there's no real connection. Right? There's no real connection. You don't connect with people on a real basis on social media. Right? So it's for instance, a lot of people have met relationships that have threatened their life on social media, right? And still, I think it was early this year. This guy was buried. A few weeks ago, right? A few weeks ago, and it was amazing. He went to see a girl he met on social media, right? And this happens a lot. Girls going to go and meet a guy that they met on social media, and I mean, you don't know this person. You don't even know if they are real. You have no clue, no idea of who these people are. And this young man goes to meet this girl they met on social media, traveled to go meet this girl, and they were there for a month or two, and they had an argument, a disagreement, and this girl stabs this guy to death. Yes, someone he met on social media, and across a society, you would hear these kinds of stories. These kind of stories, and it's important. It's important. Now, this will lead me to talk about how social media is causing antisocial behaviors. Now, can you say something about that?
Yes. Now, when it has to do with the social media and social behavior, now you think it's a social media, right? And by default, we should have social behaviors. It should enhance that, right? But like you mentioned that you don't have real friends on social media. What you have is followers. You have people you entertain. You have people that you give and you feed what they want so they can stay true to what you do. So it means that you come up with identities and concepts that keeps feeding them, even if it's not what you are or what you do. You put up with things that you shouldn't put up to. Probably you glamorize a relationship that isn't real. And now you got followers on that relationship, and now the relationship becomes toxic to you. But you can't let it go because you have people that follow the relationship, not you. They don't even follow the toxicity of it. And now you're the one dealing with the toxicity of it. But a friend is someone that sees your toxicity, your strengths, your weaknesses. They see the things that threaten you, the toxicity. They see the opportunities you have. They see everything, and they help and guide you go through it. But if the people on social media only see the positive things, and the negative things you let them see. But a friend sees the things that you don't even let them see. There are aspects of you that a friend would tell you about that you don't even know about yourself. If you've ever had a real friend, they will tell you things about you that you never even knew. But the only things that people on social media can tell you are the things you told them. The things you showed them.
How social
when it has to do
media
with social and antisocial behavior, if you're interacting with a person or you're interacting with someone, right, and you're socializing with them on a social media space, and now you have a real relationship. I'm going to use a date for an instance, right? You're sitting with someone on a date, and one of the most profound and heightened things that you notice in recent times is people on their phones while they're on a date. People on their phones while they're interacting with their parents.
So
people on
there
their
is no people have not developed communication skills. They don't have social skills.
And what they are doing on their phone is what they should be doing in reality. Communicating with the person. You should create a real connection.
So it means that people have developed more what should I call it? A virtual reality kind of concept,
they develop a social virtual skill online, and then offline they have antisocial skill. You leave them offline, they can't even make an interaction with the person. If you take a phone off a person who is very active on social media and all that, they can't even keep a conversation. Do you know why? The reason is because on social media, there are things that have been created to represent emotions that cannot be communicated. Stickers, emojis. So there are stickers, you want to really type a thing, and a sticker just gives you the expression. But now you're communicating with a person, and the person says something. You can't use a sticker in real life. You can't just you want to put up a smiley sticker and all that. You now have to communicate, and you lack that. But you're a very good communicator and a social person
on the media
online
space. And I think this is one singular factor why we have people who cannot manage conflict. Right. And for instance, more than ever, we're having relationships break up. We're having marriages break up. Marriages of marriages of 10 years, 20 years.
Yeah.
And just like you literally pointed out, right? People try to, because of what social media is putting out there, right?
Yeah.
People try to put out their best behavior, right? Because of the followers.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, there's a lot of turmoil going on in the relationship.
Yeah.
Right, going on. Something happened. A girl was complaining to me, right, that it's difficult to have a male friend. Right, very difficult to have a male friend. That everybody you call a male friend wants to sleep with you, wants to have sex with you. And from my own view, I mean, different people can have different reasons for that. But I think that social media has a role to play, right? Have a role to play. Now, assuming a girl who spends a lot of time, because excessive use of social media causes isolation.
Yeah.
Right? It means that unconsciously you have developed the habit of being alone than being with people.
Yeah.
So even when you're with people, you're still alone.
Yeah.
Right? So for someone who spends a lot of time on social media, by the time they get into a space, into a room, or into any kind of environment with a lady or a lady with a guy, they have nothing to talk about.
Yeah.
Right? Because this social media itself has killed communication skills.
Yeah.
Because communication is a skill, right, that is developed over time through your exposure, through your experiences, through informations that you have access to, right? But now you're living in what I call in a virtual world that is not real, right? That's not real. And so when you stay with someone, there's no communication, there's no understanding, there is no form of education going on. And what goes on at that point?
When people get to the level where they can't communicate effectively as far as the social media space is concerned, they have really destroyed a very foundational fabric that makes humans really social, right? And the problem with that is this. Perfection sells more than imperfection. Outside just talking about communication, perfection sells more than imperfection. Even the things that is, since this is a platform where attention is being sold, perfection gets more attention than imperfection. Now, by perfection, you can see people who are deformed, people who have one form of, issues or the others. Maybe they have one problems or the other. But the thing is, the only thing you get to see is their perfect life. It means that you don't learn real communication by just saying things that are perfect. Because when there are issues, it's more important to know how to resolve the issue than even more than what caused the issue. Because sometimes what is going to cause the issue will still be manifested in something else. But if you have a communication skill that resolves issue, you can still transcend that issue in that communication skill in solving every other issue.
So in just for us to be within the context of the question I asked you, right? In regards to this whole thing that ladies keep on saying, we can't even have male friends, right? All the male friends will want to have sex with us, right? And discussing this, a lot of pictures are coming in my head of the different experiences that a lot of people that I've had communication with have been able to voice out, right? How difficult it is to have honest male relationships, right? And just like I said, the lack of communication skills that social media has enabled is one. There could be other reasons, right? But since we're talking about social media, because right now, there are a couple of times I've gone out on a date, like you said, right? And you're with a group of people, or you're with someone, right? and they have nothing to say. They can't even make input. They can't even make sense of the things you're saying because they don't even understand it. They've learned to live their life on social media,
on the virtual space, on social media. People can't hold communication past a certain amount of time. If you're talking with a teenager or most young people right now, they could just say a few words and they are on their phone.
Yeah.
They're on their phone. It's easier to communicate on the phone because it's not a real communication. Like I say, you can cover up those communication with stickers and things that doesn't really have skills of communication. And in real life, that doesn't happen. Now, the ladies that claim that they don't have real friends also and all that. It's simple. You don't have the skill to communicate who you are to attract what you want. You don't have that skill. You can't keep a conversation. It's not that you don't have real friends. It's that you are not a real friend. You've not developed the skill to be real. You still have those virtual interactive skills. You're very good online. Now, let them try this. If they go online, those ladies that claim all those things, you go online and try interacting with people. You see how very fluent, how very effective the communication is. They can experiment it and find out that they will end up with at least a lot of friends. But offline, that wouldn't happen because they need to be the embodiment of the skill of communication first before you become the attractiveness of it.
Let's talk about social media addiction.
Yeah.
Right, let's talk about social media addiction. We've been, there's a lot of negative effect and impact that social media is having. One of those subjects we would want to talk about before we go into addiction is cyberbullying.
Yeah.
A lot of people, it's so designed, right, that social media amplifies chaos, amplifies bad behavior.
Yeah, it's an amplifier.
It amplifies the worst in people, right? And one of the things that makes cyberbullying to have a lot of impact, right, in the society is that because of social media, people no longer believe in facts. Right? People no longer believe in facts. For instance, you come up now and cook up a story about someone.
Yeah.
A lot of people will buy it.
Yes.
Right? A lot of people will buy it. And of course, especially if it is bad news, because bad news sells on the media front.
Yeah, it's more attractive.
Yes.
It's more attractive. The reason for that is because the news that are good are out of the way. It's a good thing. It's like when you see a wall that is properly painted, all the good things are out of the way. You will notice the spot on the wall, right? If there is a spot that was missed, that will be the first thing you notice. It's psychological to be more attentive and spread the things that are wrong more than the things that are right.
Now, sorry to call you short. It's important that we become, I don't use the word careful, in pushing this narrative, because just with the example you gave right now, if you see a wall that has no spot, that is probably painted white, right? You can choose to not focus on whatever that has messed up the wall. You can choose to not focus on it. You can choose to zoom your focus on the perfection or the good area of the wall. Do you understand? Because what social media does is that it ignores the good part and focuses on the negative part.
Yeah. Why that works?
I think it's intentional.
Yes. Why that works effectively is that you will always find a support for whatever narrative you have on social media. Every single individual on social media is a celebrity on varying proportions. Even if you have just 2 followers, it means you're celebrated by 2 people. Even if it's just 1 person also. So it means that whatever opinion, whatever suggestion, whether it's an opinion, whether it's a fact, whether it's a principle, whether it's a truth, even if it's the least of things, it's just your opinion, you'll find people to solidify it. That means that entire wall that is painted in perfection and that one spot, you're supposed to ignore it. But imagine if it has something that reinforces its appearance. So you find people that will solidify the fact that this is wrong. And it's why most of those bad news spread very fast and very quickly. And as a young person or as a young girl on social media or as a young man or woman, one of the reasons this is so wrong for you and why cyberbullying is so profound is that you're putting yourself up to be validated.
Yeah.
You're putting yourself up to be validated. It's one of the most dangerous things you can do. You're seeking validation for people. When you put up a picture, you put up an image, you put up a thing, what you're asking people is, tell me if I'm likable to whatever degree of proportion that you choose to rate me. Give me comments that validate what you see. So you're putting yourself up to be bullied. You're putting yourself up to be depressed because you can get a comment that ruins your entire life.
Yeah.
You can get something that depicts what is not really there. And then that single comment or that single bullying will also get reinforcement because there are also people that think that way.
Yeah.
Whether it's the truth, whether it's lie, whether it's not, it doesn't matter. But you're putting the moment you put yourself up to be validated, you're also putting yourself up to be depressed.
So let's talk about social media addiction, right? By the way, a lot of people have no idea that they're addicted on social media.
Yeah.
Right, and it's important. For instance, how you know you are addicted to something is if you're asked to stay away from it.
Yeah.
Right, but just give us how do people get addicted to social media? Yes.
Every single addiction works the same way. Whenever you have something gives you a reward for a continuous behavior, despite negative consequences, it will create an addiction every single time. So the reward for social media is usually the likes, the follows, comments and all
shares.
that. But that is just one level of it. A more profound level of addiction is created when you find validation for all your opinions. It's more addicting than just like and follows. Imagine a place where you find someone to support whatever it is that you say. This is a craving for every single person. So it's difficult to not get addicted when you find a support for your opinion.
In the past 25 years, research has that over 70% of young people are getting depressed. Right. What's the reason for that? And a lot of people believe that the likes, right, the comments, the views, right? A girl, I learned about a girl that was last year that literally got suicidal because she went to the studio, took what she considered to be beautiful pictures, posted them online, and it had just 2 views. Right? Had just 2 views. She was depressed, she was suicidal, right? And there are numerous stories, like that. What do you have to say about this?
Every single expression of narcissism will lead to depression. What that means is every single time that you think about yourself or you have something that promotes you thinking and focusing on yourself, you're likely to get depressed. The world is designed for you to fend for yourself when you mostly think about others. When you think about contributing something to others. Fulfillment comes when you express something productive to others. Why? Because if you think about yourself, one of the things that will make itself manifest to you immediately are your problems. Imagine those times before you go to bed that you're thinking about you. You think about your failures. You think about every single thing you've done wrong. You think about the things that are not going right and all that. Now you have a tool. It's actually an experiment that have been proven that if you spend time thinking about yourself, you're likely to get depressed.
No.
If you have a tool that expresses self-focus more than any other thing, it will lead to self-destruction.
Now let's talk about the side effects of social media addiction, right? We have depression, right? We have a low self-esteem, right? And what are those side effects? One of those impacts or effects of social media addiction is poor sleeping. What's it called?
post-sleep routine.
Post-sleep routine.
Yeah.
Post-sleep routine. Because we have a lot of people who literally live on social media without even knowing it.
Yeah.
Okay, I wouldn't want to say this, but then there was a time I would literally be on YouTube, right? Even though most of the things I'm consuming are things that literally are things I learn from, right? But by just being on YouTube, I literally forget, and sometimes I'm there till say 12 a.m. in the midnight, 1 a.m. in the midnight.
Yeah.
And I have to sleep, and I have a routine of waking up very early to still do things I have to do. And I probably end up sleeping for 3-4 hours until I start having mental health issues.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And this is one of the effects of social media addiction.
Yes.
Right. Let's talk about this.
Yes. Outside the narcissism, focusing on self, right? Spending time on this also, like you mentioned, takes away sleep, takes away some of other things you should focus on, takes away the ability to be productive, which also still leads to depression. If you're getting less sleep, you'll be depressed. Yes. If you're spending less time being productive, you'll be depressed, because productivity is supposed to manifest in results that gives you fulfillment. Yeah. So if at the end of the day, you have something that strikes dopamine and makes you happy, but there is no evidence for happiness at the end, you'll be depressed. There's nothing that shows all you have accomplished, you'll still be depressed. So all these activities that excessive consumption of social media and addiction to it, despite the positive things that it has brought to people, would definitely lead to addiction and ultimately depression.
So how can we solve the usage of social media? Because just like we've been able to point out that you don't pay for social media, but what you use in paying for social media is your time.
Yes.
Is your time.
Yes.
You are being monetized. Yeah. There's a war against our free time.
Yeah.
Right? Against our free time. So what solution should we proffer to people out there who are addicted to social media? There's a research I bumped into, and it's amazing when I found out about this, that if you spend more than 5 hours on social media, you have a high tendency to be suicidal.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes. If you spend more than 5 hours on social media every single day, you have a high tendency to be suicidal. If you spend more than 3 hours every day on social media, you have a high tendency to have mental health issues, to develop mental health issues, right? And it's important that, because we have a young generation, right? That because your brain can't tell if what you're doing is wrong or right, right? It's having those dopamine hits. It's having those sense of reward.
Yeah, it's always looking for an evidence that solidifies the reward system, whether they're right or they're wrong.
What solution should we proffer to people?
Now, social media is a tool. It's a tool. It simply means you could use it rightly, you could use it wrongly. If you use a tool rightly, it gives you an advantage. If you use a tool wrongly, it gives you a disadvantage. But here's the thing. If you're addicted to social media already, it simply means it will be very difficult for you to cut off immediately. And you will notice those withdrawal symptoms when you feel lonely, you feel kind of depressed, if you turn off your phone for hours. And most people go crazy if their phone is not on. If they are not connected to social media, they go crazy. So if you're already addicted, here is something you could do that would help you. There is a Pareto principle that states that 20% of productive work creates 80% of results. You could start there. You might not need to cut off immediately, so you don't get those symptoms that would overwhelm you and probably affect your life and maybe ultimately something catastrophic. If you give 20% of productive work just for a day, 20% is like 4 to 5 hours of your time to something productive in a day. You're likely to get a result that affects 80% of your time. The only problem is that people don't even have 4 hours in a day to themselves, because every single thing is cutting into your time, and you would never have the time that you did not create. So
I need to add this. You know, people need to learn to know why they are going to what app on social media, right? Because not knowing the purpose why you're using a particular social media is also one reason. Because, like you said, the algorithm was designed to keep you scrolling.
Yes.
Right. So it means you should be intentional about what you're going to do. You've given a detailed, not really detailed, right?
Yeah.
But you've given us enough information as to the different purpose for all the various platforms, for most of the popular social media platforms, right? Go on those social media platforms with a purpose in mind.
Yes.
Right. If you're going on WhatsApp, because some of the addictive social media platforms we have is TikTok.
Yeah.
Right. Facebook.
Yeah.
YouTube, Instagram.
Yeah.
Right. And from my own research, WhatsApp status. Right. A lot of people just go on WhatsApp status and just keep on watching one status after the other, just one status after the other, right? The data finishes, they buy it and still repeat that routine. And it's part of the design. It's part of the design. So go on a social media app with a purpose in mind, right? And I think it's important that we also highlight some of the most useful social media platforms that young people should be in, right? Young people should be in. If you have no reason being on TikTok as a young person, right? You have no reason being even on Facebook, because these are some of the most addictive social media platforms. Even on TikTok.
You have no reason being there if you don't know how to use the tool properly.
Yes.
Because if you don't know how to use the tool will use you.
It will use you.
Will use you.
Yes.
So if you don't know how to use this to our advantage, you have no reason being there. But if you know how to utilize these tools effectively, it's going to bring an enhancement to your ability, your identity, and your communication. It's going to help you enhance it. And that is what you said about going there with the purpose in mind. It's the purpose of what you're going there for that helps you utilize it too effectively, so you don't get used by the tool.
And this brings us to, giving you the three purposes why people are on social media. One is for entertainment. The other is for work. The other is for learning, right? Now, it's important that you understand these three purposes why people are on social media platform, right? Now, I would like to talk about the entertainment aspect, right? But for work and for learning, now knowledge in our world has become affordable. It has become cheap. You can learn anything, develop any skill, become anyone or anything you want to become that would impact the world. Social media gives you that privilege. Social media gives you that leverage, right? To be able to learn from the best, right? And we have specific social media apps that, for instance, you mentioned LinkedIn, right? We also have YouTube. YouTube, well, all kinds of things, but you can, most of the things I know right now that is changing my life are on YouTube. Right. So when I go on YouTube, I'm not just going there to keep on scrolling and clicking one of those videos or videos I have no idea about, because the way the algorithm is designed, like we've said, for instance, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, right? These are platforms that works with videos, right? So it's why the tendency to be addicted to those videos are more on this platform than on other platforms, right? So it's important that when you're on those platforms, you should know why you're there. You should know what exactly you're looking for. And like we said, you should go for knowledge, right? Learn something new, unlearn something, but do not by all means be addicted. Just clicking on and it's crazy how this is literally sweeping away a generation.
Even if some of those platforms like YouTube and all that, it's not really a social media app, they have all integrated and have an expression of being like one thing. Right? Now, when it has to do with entertainment, You need to get this. There's nothing wrong with going to a social media platform to be entertained. There's nothing wrong with it. But when the thing consumes your time, that it affects your productivity and makes it possible for you to be addicted, everything is wrong with it. Because you might think you're watching an entertainer, but you are the entertainment. Why? Because it's the likes, the follows, the comment that makes it a real entertainment for others to see that this was worth paying attention to. And you provided that. So you're the real entertainment. The real entertainment is not the video, it's the 1 million views on the video. That is what makes other people pay attention to it, and you created that 1 million views. So it's not just about you being watching entertainment. Most times you could lose the purpose and be the entertainment. So you don't spend so much time on this. Now these are various solutions that you could use for now. This is not a one-time service.
No, it's not.
There are solutions that could really help you out on how to use these tools properly. For instance, if you have a business, there are solutions that could really help you out to enhance your business skills using social media and reach out to more people that will be discussing on how to take care of addictions and all that.
So on our next episode, we would be focusing on the impact, again, impact that social media is having on the fabric of our society. Right? We'll still focus on the addiction, because there are several effects of social media addiction and the impact it's having on young people. And we are focusing on young people, right? Because this is literally distorting even their destiny, literally. And then would also be proffering more solutions, right, on how to use social media, right, and how to get out of addiction and several other things. And so thank you all for staying through this series to this point, and we'll have something really profound I'll be bringing your way the next time. This is something you really want to pay attention to, because it's a menace and ravaging the young ones and even the old ones as well. Pornography addiction. It's a concept you'd want to really pay attention to, especially the uncommon approaches you'll be bringing to it and how you can get out of this or get rid of it. And if it's something you should be doing or paying attention to at this time. So thank you all for listening, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button.